Chapter 1, Part 2, 142 seconds. Flickering consoles, a blue, eerie blinking light, and smoke that had formed at the bridge of the Crazy Horse. The medical personnel just arrived at the bridge to attend to its wounded crew and was in pain. Their flashlights on their shoulders shine into the darkness of the bridge. Vilo waved a medical nurse away. Go attend to those that need it more urgently. It's just a scratch. As in the emergency dropout, she got some metal against her arm. The nurse was a bit doubtful about it, as she just wanted to do her job. Just go, I'll be fine. She finally gave up and nodded to resume assisting others. Vilo received a shoulder flashlight from Villette and nods to him. An explanation about what just happened. Villette looked around slowly, seeing everything still in the dark and not in restart mode just yet. Currently, no, but if my scans were right, we are dealing with a byproduct of a Loom. Leaning back in her chair as she looked at Rena, she said, "Give me a status report on the department." Then looked at Dara. "How's the ship doing?" And finally, Viola looked at her trusted scientist. "Enlighten me." "Loom?" A nurse finally attended to her wounds after she sent her away a few times. Vilo just allowed it. Standing near Dada, Rena was trying her best to support the engineering to get the system going. "I'm already putting up emergency communication to get word from the decks," Rena announced as she refocused on her work. "I am getting a faint response from the warp core. Booting up will take another 65 seconds, but life supports look clean and unaffected," Dara announced as she rerouting systems that got blacked out from whatever hit them. She was starting to boot up as her antenna was twitching, a clear sign that she was thinking and focused. Crossing his arms, he was more concerned with the question of the captain than his own personnel. Villette looked at her. "We Romulans have an ancient term for these creatures, weavers or shroud makers. They have been seen on record by a couple of ships, but all involved the multiverse and alternate timelines. They don't destroy matter, they basically remove the possibility of its existence with no remorse." Villette sees the puzzling eyes of his captain and shrugs. "Consider it as white blood cells in a body. They are curing the multiverse by deleting the realities that have too many paradoxes. So, like an anomaly that is being corrected," Vilo spoke, trying to get the grasp of the idea of it. Giving a brief nod, "Yes, and what we just got was a chronometric distortion in the universe." Again, those questionable eyes as Villette shrugs. "In simple terms, time and space were physically bent out of shape during our hit. See it as a ripple left behind by a loom that was moving through the fourth dimension." The lights turn on and the blue alert changed to yellow as the console light up. "Booting has been completed. Doing a diagnostic of all systems now," Dara stated as she looked at the incoming data. "Sickbay, 105 seconds. The ship violently shook, throwing the medical personnel over throughout the whole sickbay. Then it got totally black as some console flickered. Zora slowly pushed herself from the floor, feeling the warmth on her face, knowing she was bleeding. "Status report. Everyone okay?" She now felt the pounding pain on her head as she rubbed her template and got to her knees, trying to calm down. But there was a sound. A tearing sound, as if something was cutting through. Looking at the direction, she couldn't see anything. Then a nurse who looked familiar to her stood there as she reached out her hand. "I got a head wound, but do you have any sitrep on the personnel?" The nurse grabbed her hand more firmly than expected, as she gave a soft smile. Her pupils gave a soft green light. "Target found. Retrieval in progress." Zora blinked, and before she could react to anything, she vanished with a green, dimmed shimmer that swallowed them both. "Transporter room 1, 75 seconds. With the security team moaning in pain as the after effects of the violent stop of the ship bear their fruit, Zira's training kicked in. She got back on her feet, but everything was fuzzy, blurry at best. Grabbing her phaser to be able to protect her, the dim flashing transport pads illuminated the room. Looking around as she leaned against the lockers, she saw her officers on the floor as some tried to get up, pressing the com badge. Medical team required at transport room 1. She hears the door slide open and looked into the direction with her phaser lifted. But she sees familiar uniforms that make her lower her phaser. You guys are fast. My team needs medical attention. The 3 people looked at each other and nodded, then at her. Target confirmed. Retrieval in progress, one announced, as 2 of them each grabbed an arm of Zira. Hey, what is... But before she could react, she disappeared in a green, dimmed shimmer that swallowed the 4 of them into thin air. Bridge. 0 seconds. Power is fully restored. Systems are starting up. Dara looked at the data, and her eyebrow lifted slightly. Something is wrong with the main internal computer system. Vela blinks and looked at her. What's wrong with it? Tapping her fingers on the console, there was an illegal scrub, not a hack, but physically wiped, it seems. Getting more data as she looked at her captain. But especially the internal sensors data has been wiped for the last 2 minutes. Captain, the bridge crew looked at Rena. I'm unable to reach main sickbay for a status report, and security is reporting that they are unable to get contact response from the HAS team. Tapping quickly on our comm badge, Jorah to Tanara, investigate both sickbay and find our hazard team, Philo announced. At sickbay, the door slid open as Tanara walked with her security team. Seeing the chaotic state of the area, she tapped the comm badge. Already at sickbay, Captain. I will give you a status update as soon as I know what's going on here. She points her finger in the direction as the officers begin to do their work. Help them up. Do a head count, the Romulan announced. Getting on her feet, Celera looked at the incoming team. Chief, what happened? Tanara approached the young Trill. Anson, we hit an anomaly. We were unable to reach you. Everything okay? Slowly nodding, trying to find her footing in this situation. I believe we are. It was all so quick, very dark, but there was a green light. It was not very bright. Celera shrugged. I think I heard the chief talk from that direction. She pointed at that certain area. Walking towards it, Tanara could see faint traces of struggle on the floor. As she looked at the wall panel, she walked to it. Where's the chief right now? She taps on the panel as she asked, trying to get an internal sensor of the sickbay that works on a separate computer system. I honestly don't know, Celera announced, in a tone of panic, as she realization sank in that she couldn't see her or hear her. She looked around. Chief's cell? Where is she? A grainy, distorted image from the backup terminal sensor shows 2 figures on the ground holding hands in a forceful position as Tanara narrows her eyes and looked at it. She taps her comm badge. Tanara to Captain Jorah. I believe we have a case of a kidnapping on our hands. Chief Medical Officer Jorah Cell is missing. Back at the bridge. What? Vilo responded initially as she looked at the screen, seeing the Rapture closing as another communication came in. Vane to bridge. We are at Transporter Room 1. The team is injured, but they do recall 2 people grabbing and transporting Lieutenant Zira away from our ship. Then the Prin looked at the main screen where the Rapture was and then back at the captain. Ma'am, the ghost signal from earlier. I pinpointed it. It came from the Rapture. Sitting back in her chair, Vilo shrugged at all the new information that crashed over her like a tidal wave. Taking a deep breath as the realization sinks in. This was not a natural accident. It was a lot more. I think we just got robbed. Start scanning that rift while it's still open and get me all the data on this Loom and who is the contact point for it. She looked at her right hand. Get the crew organized. I want a head count of every deck.